Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
It's day 2 of our technology unit. We're talking about building on the sea. Some of these countries that we've been talking about are actually dumping sand on top of some coral reefs and then building up that foundation, and it turns into a place where they can actually build or construct buildings. I didn't know, Tom, that Hong Kong had built Disneyland on one of these reclaimed areas. Did you?
No, I didn't know that.
Wow.
But I did know that their new airport, I think, is built partially on reclaimed land.
Really?
Or maybe 100%. I'm not sure.
Wow.
It's been years since I've been to Hong Kong. I think the last time I went there, I actually flew into Kai Tak, which is the one that's really close to downtown. There's a new one out there. I don't even know what it's called. I just don't get to travel so much anymore. But in any case, yes, Hong Kong, even New York City and Singapore, those are some examples of places that have reclaimed land. We also talked about reclaimed land in the Netherlands, and we also talked about China and Japan reclaiming land from lakes and rivers so that they can have agriculture, they can grow crops, and have fish farms and stuff like that. Well, let's go on today and talk some more about other uses of the sea, how you can build on the sea. So let's get to it. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson right now.
The simplest way of building on the sea is to drain the water away and fill the area with sand, rocks, or concrete. However, a number of other options for living on the sea have been and are being explored. People living in coastal areas and river deltas have built both floating houses and houses on stilts for centuries. Examples of these structures can be found in the Mekong Delta in Vietnam and the Chiloé archipelago off the coast of Chile. More modern versions of floating houses can be seen in the Netherlands. In Steiger Island, there is an entire floating community called Waterbird. It has 75 homes that house about 1,000 residents and stays afloat with the help of large blocks of hollow concrete. Waterbird's architects have been contacted about building similar communities in the UK, Singapore, and South Korea. An alternative to building homes on the water is building them under it. French researcher Jacques-Yves Cousteau helped design a series of underwater villages in the 1960s. People actually lived in them for a week or two, carrying out scientific experiments. There is also an underwater laboratory off the coast of Florida, U.S. Plans are now underway to develop underwater hotels in various parts of the world, including the Water Discus Hotel in Dubai, which will have one living space above the ocean's surface, as well as one below with 21 rooms and a restaurant. Creating housing on or under the water is one possible solution to overcrowding in cities. Keep an eye out for new developments in this field. Who knows? Maybe you'll even live in an underwater house one day.
Okay, everybody, it's time now for us to discuss the contents of today's lesson. Aren't we all excited about that? I know I am. So again, we're continuing to talk about building on the sea. Now, here in day 2, it says the simplest way of building on the sea is to drain the water away and fill the area with sand, rocks, or concrete. And that's part of land reclamation, or reclaiming the land from the sea. So basically you get rid of the water and you replace it with sand, rocks, or concrete. Okay, that's the simplest way of doing this. However, a number of other options for living on the sea have been and are being explored. So we've got other options or other choices, other things we can do if we want to live on the sea. We can do like the people in Hong Kong have done. We can reclaim the land, but we can also do some other things. There are some other choices.
Yeah, I wanted to mention this word concrete. I don't know about you, Tom, but I grew up thinking that concrete and cement were the same thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Actually, they're not quite. Concrete includes a larger amount of ingredients, you could say, things that you put into it, than cement. So concrete is actually made from a mixture of broken rocks, gravel, that's really small rocks, stones, sand, cement, And water. So the concrete actually has cement in it. So if you think concrete's bigger than the cement, cement's just one of the things that goes into concrete.
An ingredient of concrete.
Yeah, I could say that.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the mixtures, the building materials, you could say.
Right. So you use sand, rocks, or concrete to do land reclamation. But again, we've got some other options for living on the sea. They've been explored. They've been tried for many years. People living in coastal areas and river deltas have built both floating houses and houses on stilts for centuries. So we're talking about people who live in coastal areas. In other words, they live along the coast next to the ocean there. We've also got river deltas, which is where the river flows into the sea.
We call it the mouth of the river, the river mouth.
That's right, the mouth where it ends, and the source is where it starts.
Yeah.
Like the source of the Mississippi River is Lake Itasca in Minnesota.
Really?
And the mouth or the delta is down there in Louisiana, the Mississippi Delta River delta down there. And I don't know if you really have big deltas here in Taiwan. I don't know if Taiwan's big enough to have rivers that carry that much stuff down to the ocean. But in any case, people live next to the ocean in coastal areas, or they live in river deltas. And they built floating houses, houses that float on the sea or the water. Or we've got houses on stilts.
Yeah.
A stilt, of course, is a tall pole. Sometimes circus clowns use stilts to make them look really tall. But here, these are just big sticks, and the houses are on those stilts. I've seen those in Thailand. I think they have them in Southeast Asia. They're quite common there. Or in Bangladesh, I think they've got them there as well. Houses that are just kind of up in the air on these poles or on stilts.
Right. So examples of these structures, what we're talking about, a structure is just any sort of building that's been constructed. So we've got houses that are floating. We've got houses on stilts, which look really scary to me, I have to be honest. And
could fall down in a typhoon, yeah.
Yeah, they can be found in Mekong Delta in Vietnam and Chiloé Archipelago off the coast of Chile, or Chile, as they say there. An archipelago. For the longest time, I said this word wrong. So every time I see it, Tom, I want to say archipelago, which is stupid.
I have a feeling the British might say it that way. I don't know, but
I have not in our dictionary, according to that.
Our dictionary says archipelago,
yeah,
which is just simply a whole bunch of islands.
Yep.
Like Indonesia is considered an archipelago.
What about Japan?
Maybe in certain parts. I don't know, because those are big islands. I'm not quite sure.
Tiny little islands too. Yeah.
Maybe you could call it that. I don't know. But also the Philippines is an archipelago, etc. And this is a bunch of islands off the coast of Chile in South America. It's called Chiloé, and they've got structures built on stilts.
Now, more modern versions or examples of floating houses can be seen in the Netherlands. We use version to talk about software. You've got an older version, and sometimes, your computer's not running well. You need to go and upgrade to a more new version, a newer version. We have versions of papers that we write for class, too. You write a draft, and then you might write again after you get corrections, and then that final version is what you get graded on. So we've got versions or different types of these floating houses that can be seen in the Netherlands. You could say we have a lot of varieties of these floating houses that can be seen. The Netherlands is quite lovely, and they've got lots of water.
They do. So, for example, we've got Steigereiland. I hope I said that right. There is an entire floating community called Waterberg. Community, of course, is where a bunch of people live together, usually in separate buildings, but they're still together. We've got communities all over the place, like the Wanfang community in Taipei, also the Minsheng community, just an area that have kind of the same kinds of houses. And usually the people know each other, and they have some kind of committee where they take care of, garbage disposal and parking and plumbing and stuff like that.
Maybe it's a gated community where you have to actually get through a gate.
Sure, with a guard there. And it has 75 homes that house about 1,000 residents and stay afloat with the help of large blocks of hollow concrete. So we've got the community here, 75 houses. We've got the word house here as a verb. It houses those residents, gives them a place to live, and they stay afloat. They keep floating. If you're afloat, you are floating. And they're using large blocks of hollow concrete. Gee, concrete is pretty heavy. Wouldn't it sink to the bottom of the ocean? But it's hollow, which means it's got a big empty space inside of it. So it's probably filled with air. And that air is what keeps the concrete floating.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, sometimes you'll see hollow sections in a tree where there will be a bird's nest in there. Owls like that area, a hollow space. So water birds or waterbird, architects have been contacted about building similar communities in the UK, Singapore, and South Korea. So it looks like it's been pretty successful, and other countries are looking into building the same sort of community. If you're an architect, of course, you design a building and you actually draw up the plans. They're called blueprints if you're an architect. And typically, architects will then oversee the construction to make sure everything's built according to their specs or specifications.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone planning to build a floating community here in Taiwan.
No, I haven't either.
Maybe there's some place that would be suitable for that. Maybe the Love River in Kaohsiung or something.
Too many typhoons here. I think that would be scary.
I think most people would probably not be too hot.
And earthquakes too, huh?
Earthquakes, typhoons, etc. Let's just stay off the water, folks.
Taiwan's pretty exciting, I know.
We've got enough land for the time being, but I think that brings us to the midway point in today's lesson. Let's take a little bit of a break right now and listen to our beloved Chinese teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要继续来看第4单元。好，我们这个单元呢，其实跟科技有关，而这个科技谈的就是你用填土的方式，然后呢，从海面上去取得土地来盖建筑物。当然，我们今天就要说方法是什么样的方法，是什么样的建筑物呢？他说这边说起来并不难，用沙、用岩石、用混凝土，然后填入海里，当然你就可以得到你要的建筑物跟土地了。其实说起来，在哪些地方，像在越南、湄公和三角洲，在智利这里，他们都有这种水上屋，都有这种高脚屋。好，这个比较特别。不过你知道吗？说到有一些其他的选项也正在进行当中。一些怎么讲？英文里面的一些，它用到了 a number of。我们知道 number 本来就是数字，可是它指量的时候用在一个片语里面，像常常我们会加一个形容词 large、small， 说 a large number of、a small number of， 这样子的是代表一个很大量的或少量的，后面接一个可数名词哦。那当然提到水上屋也好，高脚屋也好，就是这种它的选项。我们来看看水上屋是不是以前的水上屋跟现在的水上屋有不一样呢？下一段就告诉你，在荷兰其实有现代版的水上屋，他们基本上盖的可以是一大片，像在荷兰这里，它可以有一片75栋建筑，住了1000位的这样子的社区。而且呢，这样子的设计在其他的国家，像英国、新加坡、南韩也都有。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We shall now continue with our lesson. Again, we're talking about other options for living on the sea. You don't have to do just land reclamation. You can have floating houses. We talked about an example in the Netherlands. You could also live on stilts, which is not really floating on the water, but you're still above the water, etc., etc. And let's continue now in the next paragraph here. It says, an alternative to building homes on the water is building them under it. So yes, you might want to live on the underwater in a floating house or maybe in a houseboat, which is also a possibility. I know some people who have houseboats in Seattle there. They've got a marina there where people have houseboats and they basically stay in their houses or their boats over, several weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
But another alternative, another choice is to build under the water. An alternative, of course, is another choice, especially if the first one is not really working. What's the alternative? This business strategy is not working. We're losing money. We need an alternative. We need another plan.
Right. Well, there was a French researcher, Jacques-Yves Cousteau, who helped design a series of underwater villages in the 1960s. I remember when I was a kid, Jacques-Yves Cousteau, we just knew him as Jacques Cousteau, would be on PBS, it seems like. They were educational programs about nature. He was very interesting because he loved the sea, loved the ocean. If you're a researcher, guys, you spend a lot of time doing research or finding out new information about things. A lot of people who are academic, maybe you're in college and you are studying for a PhD or you have your PhD, you'll probably spend the rest of your life doing research. So you could call them a researcher, someone who does systematic investigations into different areas, and they're the ones who give us new information that bring that information to our world.
Sure, and he did this through documentary programs on public TV. He was always speaking in that French accent. We just loved watching him going scuba diving and checking out coral reefs and swimming with whales and stuff like that. So he helped design a series of underwater villages way back in the 1960s. So a series of villages, not just one, but many of them, one after the other. That's a series of these villages under the water. And people actually lived in them for a week or two, carrying out scientific experiments. I don't think they could probably live there forever without ever coming back up to get supplies or something like that. But they actually lived in those underwater villages for a couple of weeks, and they were there mainly to carry out scientific experiments. Scientific means having to do with science. They weren't just living there, they were actually scientists conducting research.
Yeah, you couldn't pay me enough to live under the water for a week or two. I need the sun, and I also think I would feel very claustrophobic, meaning there's no space around me. I think it'd be hard to serve in the Navy and have to be on a submarine, too. Those boats that go underneath the water. No way.
I think there are actually some hotels in the world that are underwater, which we'll probably talk about here in just a couple of seconds. But there's also an underwater laboratory off the coast of Florida in the United States. So that's a laboratory that is underwater, that is next to Florida there, and plans are now underway to develop underwater hotels in various parts of the world, including the Water Discus Hotel in Dubai, which we'll talk about in just a second here. But let's talk about this word underway. Something is underway when it has begun. Oh, can I watch the Indianapolis 500 race? Yeah, it just started. It's underway. It's already been going for 5 minutes.
It's in progress, you could say. So they're developing these underwater hotels in various parts of the world. Seems like we already have some. Various just means different. I have various types of plants in my apartment. I have various interests as hobbies. They aren't the same, but they're all hobbies, but they're just a little different from each other. So we've got people who are really interested. There must be a market for this, meaning there must be people who want to stay in hotels under the water because they're building them. There's one called the Water Discus Hotel in Dubai. Remember in day one, we talked about Dubai. They've got a lot of money there. What we like to say, kind of a slang phrase, is they've got money to burn. They have so much money, they can spend it doing crazy things, and they still have enough money to do whatever they want. So this Water Discus Hotel will have one living space above the ocean surface as well as one below. It'll have 21 rooms and a restaurant. Sounds kind of cool, though. If I had the choice, if I could also go above the surface and below, I would stay there.
Sure, if it's just for one night. And bring your camera, take pictures and post them on Facebook and stuff like that for bragging rights. And you will be the envy of all of your friends. They'll go, oh, wow, did you really go there? You'll get so many likes. You'll have more likes than you know what to do with. Again, this is probably, though, for people with money to burn.
Yeah.
Or I guess we could say for people who have more money than they know what to do with.
More money than sense. And sense here means common sense. Some people have so much money, they end up spending it on stupid things. That phrase would work for them. He has more money than sense. Yeah.
That's right. So, again, you don't have to be a scientist to stay at this hotel in Dubai, although I have a feeling that it's probably, something that a lot of people want to do.
Maybe, yeah.
And so you'll probably have to make reservations well in advance. I don't know if it's possible to do underwater camping, if you can take a tent down there or something like that and wear a scuba diving outfit.
I think a shark could come along and get inside your tent and, have his lunch or dinner off
It's
you.
indeed possible, but that's just something that is underway right now, developing those underwater hotels in different parts of the world. And again, we gave you an example here, the Water Discus Hotel in Dubai. Gee, that's Dubai, one of the United Arab Emirates or something like that. They've got lots of money there because of oil. We did mention in our program last time that one hotel, the Atlantis the Palm, which is built on reclaimed land. So I guess eventually when that hotel sinks down into the ocean, they can waterproof the actual walls, and then that will be an underwater hotel.
See, that's the thing I worry about with these reclaimed projects. I'd think, what if we suddenly just start sinking? There are sinkholes out there in the world, you know.
Sure does happen, indeed.
Okay, let's take a look at the last paragraph here, guys.
Okay.
Creating housing on or under the water is one possible solution to overcrowding in cities. We live in Taipei. It's pretty crowded here. It's not like Hong Kong, though. I couldn't live there. Too many people, too close. Right. But if there is overcrowding, sometimes you just need to get out and, feel some space around you so you're not just always, standing shoulder to shoulder with everybody. But this is a creative solution if there's overcrowding in cities in your particular country.
I think it's also a solution for flooding in cities. If you live underwater already, then you don't have to worry about floods because there's already water there. It's like you're going swimming. You don't need to worry about whether you're going to get wet or not because you already are. But in any case here, creating housing under the water might be a possible solution to overcrowding. So here we've got the phrase, keep an eye out for something. In this particular case, we want to keep an eye out for new developments in this field. And to keep an eye out for something means you're just kind of watching for something, for it to happen. It hasn't happened yet, or you haven't seen it yet, so you need to be awake, you need to be alert in case this thing shows up. So keep an eye out for new developments in this field. You could also say keep your eyes open for something. I remember family trips when we drove out to California or something, and it was time for lunch. My mother would say, keep an eye out for a restaurant, just keep watching the sides of the road because sometimes you drive through Nevada or places like that where it was really hard to find a restaurant.
I always say to my doorman, keep an eye out for the FedEx guy who's coming today so that he can get my box that I've ordered. I always get shipments at my apartment. So keep an eye out for something. You don't want to miss it. And the only way you're not going to miss it is to really be very careful and watch for something. Yeah. Or we also have the phrase, keep an eye on, which means to make sure someone's okay. My mom would say, keep an eye on your brother and sister. Don't let them get hurt while I'm gone. That's a little different. So keep an eye out, meaning you want to find something, see something, you're watching carefully. Keep an eye on, you're taking care of someone and making sure they're okay.
Exactly. And also notice here that some of the similar phrases are in the plural here. Keep your eyes open for something. Whereas our phrase here in our lesson is keep an eye out for something in some cases, or at least all cases here, we do use the singular I there. I guess maybe you have to pretend that you're a pirate or something and you've got a patch over your eye.
One eye shut. But be very careful, guys, when you memorize these phrases. You can't get them wrong or it really sounds bad. You don't want to say, keep an eyes out. Obviously, you've got the and there. Keep an eye out for something. So make sure when you memorize those phrases to be very particular about plural and singular.And,
of course, you want to keep an eye out for new developments in this field. Of course, this field is always changing. The field, of course, of sea buildings and new developments they're having, all the different kinds of structures they're coming up with. Just keep posted on what's happening.And hey, write us and let us know what you find out. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. We need to hear once again from our Chinese teacher.
好，我们接下来看，说到了 floating houses， 也就是水上屋，它是在水面之上，可是有没有可能盖在水底下呢？没错，这一段就是要告诉你，有一种另类的选择，替代的选择 ，an alternative.To building homes on the water is building them under it. 好，这个字 alternative 就是另类的，或是另外一种选择。它后面的介系词一定是加 to， 有别于盖在水面上的房子的另外一种选择，那就是盖在水面下。下面就是举例咯，告诉大家盖在哪里呢？真的有一位法国的研究者，他现在呢就盖了一系列的所谓的 underwater villages。好，那这在1960年代就已经有了这种水中的村庄。不过呢，现在呢，我们在美国这里还有一座水中实验屋。我们看这座水中实验屋，它盖起来像什么样子？它基本上在全世界各地都有这样的建案在进行，比如说像杜拜也好，这个地方它就可能会盖一个酒店，而这个酒店里面呢，它有一部分就在海平面上，另外一部分就在海平面下的空间。我们注意到了，这里有一个连接词的片语叫做 as well as。 我们看 as well as 这个片语，其实它前后会有对等的结构，也就是前面接的是一个名词，后面也会接一个名词，不过它的重点是比较 focus 在集中在前面是什么。也就是说，像他这边说了，除了说有一片是在水面上，另外呢一片则是在水面下，而这些水面下里有21间的房间，还有1家餐厅。好，最后呢，我们就来看，不管是你盖在水上，或者是盖在水面之下，都可能来解决我们现在都市里面人满为患的问题。好，注意到这边提到解决之道是 solution。solution 这个字，如果你提到你解决什么问题，后面介系词是用 to， 就像这里边的 to overcrowding in cities， 问题就在 overcrowding in cities， 中间的介系词特别留意。好，接下来呢，告诉大家注意咯，这是一种新的发展，也许有一天你也可能住在水里面。好， keep an eye out for something， 留意留心。好，要注意的是，我们其实有另外一个片语 keep an eye on。 那 keep an eye on 跟 keep an eye out for something 有没有什么区别呢？有的。如果你用 keep an eye on， 通常呢感觉上就是有点比较负面一点，比如说 I want you to keep an eye on the students， 感觉就是这些学生可能会做坏事，所以呢你帮我注意一下，免得呢他们呢不守规矩。换句话说，相对的 keep an eye out for 就比较没有这样负面的含义，就比较中性了。我们今天的讲解就到这边结束，我们下次见。
That's all for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.